Que Sera Sera.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are
Let's
recording.
sing it together. Que Sera Sera. Ooh, hydrogen peroxide.
Whatever. Come on, Ash.
will be.
I thought when she was like grunting, I thought like they were pulling the bullet out. I'm like, she's like, "Ugh," it's like they poured like rubbing alcohol on her leg. Anyway, all right.
So much better in Heather's.
Hi, folks. This is Louis Hertham, the original Peter Abernathy. Hell is empty and all the devils are here on the Shat TV Westworld podcast with Roger, Gene, and Big D.
Welcome back to Shat on TV Westworld, the unofficial podcast companion piece to the hit HBO series Westworld. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons. Alongside me are my two co-hosts, Ash.
Hi, y'all.
And Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And this is our Instacast edition where we look back on this week's episode of Westworld and provide our immediate reactions. This week's episode was episode 8 of season 4, the season finale titled Que Sera Sera. And Big D, we've made a pledge to the audience that we're going to start out by seeing the beauty in the episode. So I want to start with you. Find the beauty.
Okay, so my first moment of beauty was that we got to see Rebus one more time. That beautiful facial hair. Rebus makes me smile. I was happy to see him. But the the best moment of this episode, maybe for the season, it was the loudest I screamed, "Fuck yeah," was Man in Black shooting that fucking camper and telling him the universal truth. Fucking campers. They are the worst. And it was great to see him in his full glory take out that son of a bitch sniper.
So Big D proves that beauty is in the details. For me, it was a much bigger beauty, which is that this episode, although on its face, maybe not the greatest season finale we've ever seen, was a great lead in to season 5. We find out that Christina is going to administer a final test. And the big one is we're going back to Sweetwater. My prayers have been answered.
Yeah, I think season 5 definitely has a setup that's clear. It's clearer than we've been in the last few seasons of Westworld in terms of where they're going to go. And I don't think that's a bad idea at all. It was very nice to see Sweetwater. I thought that was great. And it was nice to see Dolores in her old dress.
Now, for listeners who haven't listened to the Instacast before, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We are going to get into our initial reactions. This is the edition that we dedicate to our raw opinions on the episode. We haven't had a lot of time to think about it, to reconsider, rewatch, to hear from the audience. This is just our gut feelings about the episode. And for me, the action in this episode was an improvement over previous Westworld episodes, particularly Clementine's fight. I think it was well choreographed. The action was gripping. I liked it. I like the show playing with the ideas of identity and what it means to be alive, particularly with Caleb and Frankie and the Man in Black and Hale. But Episode 8 did suffer from some serious soap opera moments. Now, we saw moments like this in season 1, but when it happened, the lights came up and they're like, haha, it's Journey into Night, and we're on a stage, right? That did not happen here. This was the real show. It felt a little CBS daytime.
Yeah, for me, it felt very like Return of the King with the multiple endings going on. Like every time it faded to black, and I watch with closed captioning, and so it comes up like ominous music or hopeful music change, musical crescendo, and they just kept going to black over and over and over again. And like Eugene, I thought that was signifying that some of this, I don't know, was going to be like an advertisement for a new storyline, or we were going to, see something like that, but it wasn't. For me, I felt like this was really rushed. The reveals were really rushed, especially the reveals about Christina. We go from Christina not understanding what's happening to realizing that she's created her roommate and she's created Teddy and it's all in her head and this is all a world and she was lonely, so she was having people talk to her.
Now, not to brag about how smart we are, but how much of that do you feel like you already knew prior to them really spelling it out for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been calling it metaverse for a while, right? Like, I think that we knew that all of this was her own simulation of sorts. But I think for the audience that's like a casual watcher or maybe doesn't listen to copious amounts of podcasts, that it was probably pretty rapid fire for them.
Okay.
And I also found that like the Hail Godzilla march, like through the simulation, like to get to the Pearl was interesting. I also was very confused how Hale all of a sudden was a good guy. I felt like that was a very unearned transition for her. She got shot and then she's good. Although I did appreciate that the video was for her that Bernard made. I think that made the most sense out of everybody that was there. And I just have some questions, which I'm sure we'll address on the deep dive, like how the Man in Black got to the Hoover Dam so damn quickly. And you talk about soap opera moments. The only really big like groan for me this episode was when Hale crushed her pearl with her face split open. It just didn't work for me. And I watched the post scene with Lisa Joy and she's like, I just think she's so noble and, such a wonderful, noble character. And I don't know. I'm excited to go back and rewatch it and maybe find that nobility, but I have questions.
Not just why did she crush the pearl, but why did she seem so badly injured? Like she's in the tunnel, she's, and I'm thinking, oh, she's really fucked up. And like she took a couple bullet wounds to like the shoulder and then decided to off herself. Now I get why she killed herself.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with that. But the entire events leading up to that, I was so confused by. Like she got stabby proof, but a couple of rounds from Men in Black, which just fucked her up, I guess.
Maybe she was a surrogate for the audience.
Wow.
But I did think that the special effects were great. Her sitting there all roboted out, I thought was cool. But again, like the reveal that Bernard left a gun and that she knew the gun was going to be there, like all of it just felt fast. And then the final big question I have is, so like everybody's dead, but for why? And why did Frankie even exist? And what the fuck was her wife doing the whole time, like on that boat, just like sitting there? Waiting for she and her robot dad to come. I don't know. I'm hoping that on rewatches, a lot of it makes a lot more sense and comes and gels together because it just felt rushy.
I'm glad you brought up the Man in Black getting the Hoover Dam so damn quickly, because the only thing I think of is maybe New York City was rebuilt on Lake Mead or something, because he gets there on a horse as fast as Hale gets there on a fucking flying craft. I'm so baffled by this situation.
Oh, it's a fast horse. It's a super fast horse.
Oh, it's a fire mare.
It's a fire mare. Yeah, they can travel like 1,000. What was it? 1,000 like
leagues per minute.
1,000 leagues per hour. That's exactly what it is. You didn't see the hooves setting fire to the air. So Ash, I felt everything that you felt. I felt it was incredibly rushed. I thought Hale's heel face turn, it was predicted, but it wasn't earned. How did we get here? She went from world domination to, okay, I'll kind of give up in like 30 minutes. And the Man in Black's jetpack to the Hoover Dam, you guys said on the horse, a joke, okay? And it left a lot of what ifs for me. And it got me angry because the episode proved Clementine, she was criminally underused this season. Her performance tonight, I thought, was more compelling than half of the characters.
Clementine underused. Maeve, the weapon. All of us assumed that she was going to be back in this episode somehow, but no, her entire purpose was just as a distraction for Hale for a couple minutes.
No, and I felt that the show also went back to the well way too many times. They took everything that had worked in the past, the formula, and like, okay, let's repeat it. As soon as Radiohead came on, I'm like, guys, I get it. You wanted to elicit some emotion. I could remember Codex coming on at the end of season 2. I listened to that thing nonstop for a week. I owe another discussion of extinction. I'm sad. I'm mad. I'm feeling a lot of mixed emotions. And that's why the Instacast, I'm usually not in here. I'm usually rainbows, unicorns, bunnies. But this one, it got to me. And this episode gave me the cringe moment of the season. And I don't know if anyone agrees with me. Man in Black hitting the road to Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire. We fucking get it, Nolan and Joy. Yep, Johnny Cash, the original Man in Black. I get it. A little too cute and on the nose for the finale of a season that might be your last.
It didn't bother me that much. I just love the Man in Black and Ed Harris so much that I enjoyed watching him drive a truck to Ring of Fire. It was fine. Maybe a more obscure song would have been better, but here's the thing. Is immediately I'm going to get punched in the fucking face by the audience by going like, oh, Gene Lyons wants something more obscure. And you know what? They're not wrong. They're not wrong. Is this the right song for the moment? Maybe it is. Maybe it's the fact that I've heard it so much before and it's the easy choice. It's like if we're watching a Vietnam movie and they put Creedence on. Like, yeah, that's what Vietnam movies have. This is the Man in Black. He's in a truck. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I agree. I could have watched 30 minutes of him riding that horse and just some scenery, and I might have been happier.
Now, on to the killer topics for the deep dive. We do have a deep dive coming up on Tuesday. That is when we examine the topics that came up on this podcast a little more in depth. It's a little more objective, not so much our opinions, but really taking our time to explain what we saw in the episode, what it might mean for season 5, what it means about what we saw in season 4. And my killer topic for the deep dive so far is this final test. What does it mean? What kind of test is it? And we've gotten ideas that it's a game, that the stakes are very high, that it could be extinction or survival. But what does it look like exactly? How will Christina determine whether it's extinction or survival? Why was she entrusted with this role? And more importantly, do we think it's all going to happen within the confines of our original Westworld set? In which case, I'd be very happy with it. But how does that all work?
So, Gene, you're saying next season the stakes are even higher? And there's another loop?
They're the highest.
There's a game? Oh, count me in.
I mean, for me, just for our listeners, and I think for us too, I want to go back over the Christina reveals. Who was Christina this whole time? What was she? Why was she? How was she? So on and so forth. I think we need to go back and dig back in and understand that Christina is Dolores. Right? Like they are the same person because she's based off of her pearl, and her pearl was inside the Red City, which is a total rip up, by the way, of Resident Evil, but it's fine. That, she was inside of there the whole time. So I want to look at that and kind of just recap all of that and see if there's any hidden nuggets there. And then finally, Christina / Dolores says at the end that there's no more intelligent life on Earth, but that isn't true because we know that at least Frankie and her wife are alive, which means that there's probably some other people out in the condemned lands. And so I just want to kind of look at who is out there, who can be resurrected, and what is this world that she's creating? What effect is that going to have on those people that exist?
So, Ash, in this episode, Christina says that within months or years, they'll all be extinct. Just asking for your personal, what you would like to see, right, in a season 5. Do you want that to be addressed? Like, would you want to see what's going on with those people? Or would you be happy if they're just like, yeah, they're all dead, let's move on?
I think they'd have to make that decision and explain why. Like, why are they dead? Because there's no reason for them to be dead if all the other, infected humans and the hosts are dead, because it's not like they can't plant a seed and grow a crop. We know that the whole world is not desert because the man in black and his jetpack to, the Hoover Dam is driving through some pretty green space there. And we see the Hoover Dam and that there's a water source. So I think that they would have to at least have a reason for that. But yes, I'm completely fine with leaving Frankie and that whole crew behind because I just don't. And please write in if I'm missing it. I just don't see their purpose.
So for me, I need to put together a post-mortem list of plot points that went nowhere, because I'm trying to see if there is some, mysterious hidden, game in plain sight, something we're missing, because there's a lot of things that went unanswered. And also I want to put together a list of things that this episode had that made no logical sense. So Hale walked around for a full season in a body that wasn't the most protective of her pearl. She chose to be more exposed to danger than she could have. She just had this super suit sitting around. Maybe the best place to not hide a pearl is in the center of the floor and then go stomping on top of it. That might have been a little silly. And Caleb spent this entire season doing everything to get to his daughter, only to be like, yeah, bye guys. Enjoy your boat. I'm gonna sit here. That he didn't take every second with his daughter.
Okay, I thought about this one, right? She's got to get out of there. Clearly, she's got to make her escape. And if he goes with her, he can be tracked. I'll give him a pass on that one. Because I was thinking the same thing. Why not go in the boat with her? You die, they'll just dump you overboard, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to be tracked. Come on, cut him some slack. I just want to know how the tower was still functioning after it blew up.
And Bernard didn't have a better plan than just leave the iPad on the floor and hope a drone. And speak of that, Hale is going for the showdown with the man in black. You had fucking 2 working drone hosts. How about you load them in your empty fucking flying machine?
2 working drone hosts? How about an extra magazine? Jesus, you run the whole fucking world. Take a rifle.
No, let's go alone. Anyway,
listen. two things are working against us with our final episodes of this podcast. One is that we just gave some pretty negative feedback on the episode. So a lot of you are like, fuck you guys, I'm out. The second is that after the final episode airs, we typically see a big drop off in listenership because people are just like, oh, show's over, whatever. Please, 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 if you give a shit about us at all, or if you just want to rage against us and hate us for a little bit longer, we're putting in the time and effort to do one more deep dive, one more telegraph, and then do our Westies awards. So we're still here. We're still putting in the work. Please hang out, work with us. If we got it all wrong, we'd love to hear from you. It'd be the most fun telegraph we've ever done. You can write us at hosts@shatontv.com or go to shatpod.com/TV and leave us a voicemail. Please, please, please do. We'd love to hear from you. YouTubers out there, hey, it's cool if you leave us comments on YouTube, but you're going to get us to see it and hear it better if you just do it in one of those two ways. So we are doing a deep dive that's coming out this week. We are doing a telegraph that'll be out on Friday. And the Westies are going to be a little bit different this year. So what we're doing is they're going to be live on Twitch, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday, August 22nd. We'll have all the categories and the voting will be live. You don't have to be subscribed to us to vote. You just drop in. If you've never used Twitch before, it's really, really easy to use. Just go to the website ahead of time, check it out. Please do follow us, subscribe. That'd be great. If you have Amazon Prime, you can use Amazon Prime to subscribe through Twitch Prime for free. That helps the podcast. So if you've been listening all season and you want to help us out a little bit, you can subscribe to us through your Amazon Prime, and that'll give us a couple bucks. That'd be really, really fantastic as a thank you for the season. And we'd love to see you there. So again, that's 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday, August 22nd at shatpod.com/Twitch.
Yeah, and for those who haven't done it before, that's usually the highlight of the season. It's everyone can come together, have some fun, have a laugh, and it's a chance for you guys to see us because there's some video on it as well, and it's a way we can interact in real time. So look forward to seeing you because I'm going to need some help getting through this.
Well, thanks for listening. We hope you stick with us. That is our final Instacast for the season. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat on TV. On Facebook, just search for Shat on TV Podcast. The website is shatpod.com/TV. You can email us, hosts@shatontv.com. Wherever fine podcasts can be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Pandora, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by iTunes, please leave a review. That helps the podcast grow. Thanks for sticking with us all season. Big D, Ash, thank you for all the work that you put into this. I can't believe it's over already, but we've still got a little bit longer to go. On behalf of my co-hosts, Big D and Ash, I'm Gene Lyons. Be sure to join us Tuesday for the Westworld Deep Dive.